Deadpool and Wolverine just became one of the rare films to gross over $200 million in its opening weekend. Our movie man, Erik Childress, film critic and founder of the Movie Madness podcast, is here. Erik, does this film have a chance to become the biggest hit of the year?
Well, with a start like that, there is always a chance. Now, as you mentioned, the film grossed $211 million in its first 3 or 3.5 days of release, counting Thursday. And amongst the 8 other films to achieve that, not one of them failed to gross $600 million in North America. Now, Deadpool and Wolverine has a pretty safe runway going through August, with maybe only a single film in Alien Romulus overtaking it for the top spot on its 4th weekend of release. Marvel is certainly looking to relaunch their brand in a big way, with not just these numbers, but the announcement at Comic-Con over the weekend that Robert Downey Jr. was returning to the universe as the villainous Doctor Doom in a forthcoming Avengers film. Desperate or not, it is certainly getting headlines and discussion, and they are letting anticipation begin again as the next Marvel film doesn't come out until next February with the frequently delayed Captain America Brave New World.
At the box office this weekend, another delayed film hitting theaters for families, but there's also a horror film. Here's a look at Trap.
What's with all the police everywhere? I'm not supposed to tell. You know the butcher? The freaking nut job that goes around chopping people up? The feds heard that he's gonna be here today. So they set up a trap for him. This whole concert, it's a trap.
What do you think?
Now, I wish I could give you a fuller assessment of how the film actually is, but Warner Brothers is keeping critics away from the film before its release. Now, they'll probably say it's to preserve whatever nonsense Twist Knight has crafted, like, for instance, Josh Hartnett possibly not actually being the murderer, being chased in a federal manhunt at a public indoor concert, putting tens of thousands of people at risk despite not knowing what the killer looks like, and letting ordinary citizens like the souvenir seller aware of the entire gambit. But chances are it's just because the movie is not any good, and they want to keep bad reviews to a minimum. Hey, don't take my word for it. I've made no secret I am not a fan of Shyamalan's work at all, but I'm certainly not alone, as less than half of his films have registered in the positive with critics at Rotten Tomatoes. Oh yeah, and Sony finally opens Harold and the Purple Crayon this weekend. Based on the children's book, it began filming in 2022 and was scheduled for release as early as January 2023, before being delayed multiple times to finally arrive this August, where most family films get left behind as kids go back to school. The Crayon movie also was not screened for critics.
What are your movie stars for us this weekend, Erik?
We dig back into the Wayback Machine once again, Angie, and I have a couple great movies about the hunt for serial killers, so you don't have to go see Trap. Now, since Hannibal Lecter has been trending on the political scene lately, it's time to revisit Michael Mann's Manhunter, which is available for Amazon Prime subscribers right now. It's the first film to feature Lecter, played by Succession's patriarch Brian Cox, and one of the early films to star William L. Peterson as the agent hunting a vicious killer. Now, this is a film that predated The Silence of the Lambs by 5 years. Then, speaking of Robert Downey Jr., go back to a time before the MCU when he co-starred David Fincher's Zodiac alongside a pre-Hulk Mark Ruffalo and a pre-remake prone Jake Gyllenhaal in a masterful procedural about the real-life hunt for the elusive Zodiac killer who haunted San Francisco in the 1970s. It is on Paramount Plus, and true crime does not get much better than this, and studios had no problem screening these back in the day because they were great, and will almost certainly give you a better experience than going out to see Trap this weekend.
Those are Sleep with the Lights On movies for me. Thank you, Erik.
Thank you, Angie.
Go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.